It's not that you're either mentally well or you're mentally unhealthy. It's not, like you're either sick or you're healthy, but it's a continuum. And in the same way that you might have, when we talk about physical health, it might be a continuum. So you might have someone who, has diabetes, but is a really healthy person, and because they feel really healthy and they integrate practices into their life that keep them physically healthy. They exercise and they eat well. At the same time, you might have someone who doesn't have any chronic conditions, say, and doesn't take care of themselves as much, doesn't have much energy, and doesn't feel themselves to be physically healthy. And I think it's the same thing when we talk about mental health, whether or not you associate with a diagnosis of a depressive disorder or a more chronic type of personality disorder, you can still, and you are still on a spectrum of mental health where some days or some months or years you might feel more mentally healthy and other times you might feel more unhealthy. And I think it's a much more kind of empowering way to look at mental health, because the underlying condition, sure, that's something that you might need to go see a psychotherapist for, or it might be something that you might take medication for in certain instances. But that kind of continuum on which we all lie on, that's something that you can learn to manage yourself to some extent, in the same way that our physical health, we might live in a really polluted city and that's something we can't do anything about. And it's the same with our mental health. We might live in a really stressful environment and it's not always something we can change, but there are things that are within our control. And by shifting those things within our control, we can see clearly, first of all, where we are on that continuum. And that kind of feeds back into what we were talking about earlier with perceiving clearly the signals in your body, and then respond to that with practices that we've developed with or without help of a teacher.